we moved over here in this and lived on this place when I was 8 years old. And I went to school over at Pleasant Hill, grade school, 2 years, and then come over here and went to school that was over here on 66th Street or 70th Street, just a mile and a quarter from here, and walked back and forth to school every day.
Wow. So when you went to the high school, you rode a horse?
I rode just a time or two, and I drove her to a buggy one or 2 days, and then I rode her on a saddle the other times.
Okay. So what was an average day like at Seaman High School?
Well, it was 8 hours, and I had all of the major classes: English and math and social studies and history, and then I had FFA and mechanics. We had the old Seaman High School. You know where the old Seaman High School is now? I mean, the museum.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been in it?
Yeah, actually our class just went, and since we're doing this documentary, we went there and looked at all the museum stuff, and it was really cool in there.
I imagine. I've never been back there since I graduated, but they tell me it's really, really neat. And of course, that old building, the football field set east and west, just west of there, out there, and there was a frame building that sat on the south side of it, and that's where the industrial arts and the FFA and that stuff. And then there was another building over on the south or southwest corner, and that had the shop, the ag shop, and then it had in the north end of it was the for the football field, or where the football players changed their clothes and showered and stuff in there. And I had my history class was up in the third floor on the west side, and I had a wonderful teacher. I used to wear a pair of jeans. I was an old farm boy, and it had 101 brand on them was the name of them, and that's what he named me, was 101, and he called me that all the time I was in high school. That was my official name, and I played for him football in my junior and senior year, because we didn't have. I had a car initially when I started high school, but I wrecked it, a guy hit us and wrecked it, and so it was 2 years. First 2 years I didn't have any transportation. We didn't have buses or none of that stuff then, and my mom or dad had to take me somewhere to school or meet somebody. We met somebody a mile and a half south of here, and I sometimes walked down there to meet that guy, and he took me on to school from there and brought me home to there, and then I walked home. And of course we farmed all our lives. My dad did, and I raised hogs and horses and cattle and everything, and that was our life, was farm life.
So, did you play football? You only played football for 2 years then?
2 years, yeah, junior and senior. And I lettered both years. And I played tackle. What?
I said because you didn't have transportation home.
And I played tackle for football. And in them days, we didn't have school buses. We played Turner High in Kansas City, and Holton, and Osage City was the farthest, Walmigo, but we went to Walmigo in coaches' cars and stuff. We dressed it down here at the dressing room in Seaman, and then wore football clothes to Walmigo and rode in people's cars. But them Holton and Turner and Osage City, we rode on Greyhound buses in our uniforms, and rode on Greyhound buses to to them towns when we went to play football.
So Chuck Logan was never your coach, was he?
Who?
Chuck Logan?
No, I was in high school just after he quit coaching.
So was he your principal?
Yes.
Yeah. What type of guy was he?
Oh, he was a wonderful guy. I've got this annual, and it's got right inside of it there. You can open it up, and it's got his picture in there, Chuck Logan.
Do you have any stories about him or anything? Like
Oh, nothing personal. He was just a wonderful guy.
Okay. So when you were in high school, did they have homecoming or anything like that yet?
Oh yeah.
They did?
Yeah.
What were the festivities for that like?
Well, they were mostly there at the high school. I mean, we hardly ever went. Meadow Acres Ballroom, you know where that's at? In South Topeka. That was our main place to go for. And in the top of the Jayhawk Hotel, we went up there for our banquets and stuff. And what?
And prom.
And prom, okay. And that's all of the formal activities that we had.
Our teacher had told us that you went to a one-room schoolhouse.
Oh yeah.
Can you tell us
I
a
went
little
to
bit
two
about that?
one-room schoolhouses. The first one was at Pleasant Hill. You know where Pleasant Hill Grade School is?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there used to be an old square wooden building there that was 2 floors. It had a walk-in stairway from the south, and you could go downstairs into the basement or upstairs into the classrooms. And all 8 classrooms, all 8 grades were in the top floor. And then when we moved to Bowl School, we were in a big building that was about the width of this building, only about the same size as this building. 30 by 70 is what this building is. And that's about the way that this wood frame building over here at Bowl School was. And it was just a single floor and had a coal house on the back of it. And we had a wood-fired furnace or stove set in the back room back there. And then it was eventually coal when the last few years we were there.
So what grades were you in when you went to the one-room schoolhouse?
1 through 8. I went through all 8 grades in that one building, in that one classroom. Yeah, all 8 grades were in that building at Pleasant Hill and the one here too. All 8 grades were in the same room.
And then you went to Seaman?
Well, when I went to Seaman, why, we were classed out in different, and went to different classes and different studies.
On here, I see you talked about like different classrooms and stuff. You said the gymnasium was in the basement.
Yes.
Can you talk about that a little bit? What it was like down there?
That was. You ever been down there?
No, we didn't go down there. I've seen the picture.
Oh, it was awesome. You went down the stairs, and if you didn't duck your head, you'd hit your head on the floor above you, and that's how tall it was for the basketball players. We had one of the best basketball players there was in the state of Kansas because he could shoot it. Well, the ceilings wasn't much higher than that right there, and he could shoot a basket he played guard for Seaman, and he could shoot a flat shot and hit the basket. Nobody else in the United States could shoot like he did. And there wasn't any ceiling height in there. It was just about as high as that ceiling right there. And then that's where our locker rooms were too. All of our lockers were along the east wall in that basement in that gym. It was a little tiny gym, only seating on one side, and very minimal seating there. And,
A lot different than now.
huh?
A lot different than it is now.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Siemens got one of the best gyms there is in the in the country now. But
We're actually getting a new gym floor this summer too.
is that right?
So our teacher had also mentioned something about your mom going to.
She went to Oakland High School. That was before Siemens was built. She lived on the corner of 62nd and Topeka Avenue, Hiller's Dairy.
Okay.
And she was a Hiller, and she went, her and her sisters, her and four of her older sisters went to Oakland to high school because there wasn't any Siemens High School then. And my uncle, Roy McNorton, my dad's younger brother, was one of the first one of our family that attended Siemens High School in 28 or 29 when it was first built.
School lunch.
What?
School lunch.
About
There's a lot of stuff at school lunch. We can talk about that. We talked about that people.
Okay. So what I see in here is there's this about the school lunches. What were they like back then? What was the process of
Most of when we went to grade school, we took our own lunch, sack lunch, whatever we had at home while we ate at the school. But when we went to Siemens, they had a lunchroom, a cafeteria, and meals then cost 35 or 40 cents a piece.
And the food was really good.
And at Siemens High School, we had right next door south was a restaurant that was owned by a local family there by the name of Whiteman. And then on the north, on that corner, where that rest home is now, was Woodard's service station, which was for the girls. And they eat over there and my wife worked over there part-time and when she went to school. And
Well, they had like a cafe there too in that Woodard's.
they what?
Woodard's had a cafe inside.
Yeah, they had a cafe too for the girls. And the boys went to Whiteman's and the girls went to Woodard's.
Well, Whiteman's was turned into Swader's after that.
I went to, of course, I started smoking weeds when I was a little kid, and when I bought my first cigarettes when I went to high school in '45, and cigarettes then were only like 10 or 15 cents a package, and I bought Camel cigarettes to smoke.
And they'd go out at lunchtime and sit in the car and smoke.
So when you guys had lunch at the high school, you could leave and go other places. You didn't have to stay there and eat.
No, and there was many of the kids that had cars while they went roaring around over the streets of North Topeka. I was telling my daughter this morning about I had a buddy that was his folks owned the Stanley's auto supply store in North Topeka, and anyway he had a 36 Ford two-door sedan, and we used to take it and go west on Lower Silver Lake Road, and when you cross the railroad tracks there was a big hump in them, and we'd be going 90 miles an hour in second gear, and we'd float over the top of them. Now that's what our exercises at lunch was that.
What kind of activities were you involved in with like FFA and stuff like that?
Well, I was in FFA all 4 years I was in school, and I participated. We went to and of course then the Nationals was held in Kansas City, and we went down there, went on a bus trip to Kansas City every year. And Of course, I showed livestock in FFA, and of course we had the Kansas Free Fair here then, and I participated in it with my hogs and horses and everything else. And FFA was the main thing that I was involved in. We had Y-teens and high Y and home economics and all that stuff, but I didn't get in any of that. So,
We're in the band.
well, I was in the band, yeah.
Did you like
I-
being in band?
Well, I was forced into it. I played the bass horn for football games and that kind of stuff. Whenever at halftime, well, I played in the band and had my uniform on and everything.
So they let you do that? back
Oh yeah,
then?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. They were begging for you to do it then.
So after you graduated high school in 1951, there was a really bad flood.
Yeah.
Do you remember
Oh yeah.
the things you had to do to
Oh,
go through
oh yeah. We the flood come from where Fallies is over there. The flood come right to the bottom of that the Topeka Avenue, and I worked over in South Topeka, and flew from a little airport out here north of town to over south of town, and then they picked me up over there, and I worked at Jordan Baking Company, Sunbeam Bread, over on East 5th Street, and I flew back and forth to work.
Wow. So did it affect how you guys were farming and stuff like that? Like your house? You didn't have to go through any of that?
No, we didn't. No. I farmed with horses on this place. When we moved over here, we had a team of horses, and I drove them, and well, I drove them for several years before then. And anyway, why, my dad gave me an acre of ground back here, and I raised corn on that acre of ground for my hogs, and farmed it with that team of horses.
When you played football, do you remember it being like a big deal? Was everybody super excited to go to football games?
Oh yeah,
or-
oh yeah, oh yeah. We had big crowds.
Really?
Yeah, yep, yeah. We played when we played Turner. Why, there'd be a big crowd of people go, and at Holton and Osage City, there was a big following of people. Of course, Seaman had a pretty powerhouse football team then. They didn't always win any association championships, but we were right in every football game. We had some big old farm boys that were pretty tough. We didn't have school buses or nothing. I mean, our parents had to take us anywhere we went, and that was our only transportation. When you were a kid, why, we only went to North Topeka every Saturday night. We'd go to town and buy some groceries, and then come back home. That was the only time we went to town when we were kids.
Do you remember any rivalry teams, like your biggest opponent in football or any type of sport?
Walmego was. Walmego Red Raiders were our most staunch rivals. And of course Turner was pretty prominent because they were pretty good sized high school. And Holton was another competitor. Holton High School had good football teams too.
So what did you do after high school?
Well, I went to work for Goodyear. Went to work. I was only 17 years old when I hired into Goodyear. Just a few days after I graduated in May, went to Goodyear and went to work, and worked on vacation relief. And I'd work one shift one week, another shift another week, a different job every week. And I worked there that full summer after I got out of high school for Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company.
So did many people go to college after high school that you knew of?
No, not many. No, hardly any. I don't. Well, there was several of our classmates that went to college, but a lot of them were farm kids and they didn't go to college.
How many people were in your class?
Well, in this annual, there's 56. But I'm sure that there was more than that originally, as a freshman, that's the senior class there. I think as a freshman, seems to me like we had around 80 that enrolled, but by the time the senior year come around, either part of them moved out or discontinued going to school or whatever.
Yeah.
And of course, right after I graduated, a year after I graduated, we were married. And then I went to the service for 2 years in Korea and served over there, and then come back home and started our family.
Wow. You wouldn't know anything about Fred Seaman, would you?
About what?
Fred Seaman?
No, I didn't know him or anything. No, but he was the original founder of Seaman High School, and I don't know any of his background or anything.
Mm-hmm. Who was your football coach?
Dan Emmerich, Emerich. He was a wonderful guy.
What kind of record were you guys? Because I know for a while there they went undefeated for a while. Were you guys part of that or no?
No, that was Chuck Logan's school.
Okay, yeah.
That was his football team. It was undefeated all over the Midwest. I mean, they played Manhattan and Lawrence and all them. Well, they played Haskell. Well, we played Haskell Institute too, but they beat everybody. They had the old original farm boys there, and he was a tough old coach, but a good one. And Chuck Logan was the promoter of all that hoopla that was in the Seaman Vikings then.
Yeah.
Any other stories that you have from the first high school or anything?
Any pranks maybe you guys did or got in trouble for or something?
Well, it was a complete reversal of what I'd been used to. I mean, I come out of a one-room school with, I don't remember how many kids there was in my 8th grade, but I expect about 4 or 5, and go down there and you had 200 kids in school. That was awesome. I mean, that was quite a change.
Did you enjoy high school?
Huh?
Did you enjoy high school?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was a new adventure for me. And, yeah, I enjoyed it, yeah. Because there was always something to do. And there was plenty of mischievous activities to be done, too. And I wasn't the instigator of them, but there was several of them that were.
Like stealing somebody's pants out of the locker room and flying them up the flagpole.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
right. Yeah, a little kid, what was his name?
Norris?
Yeah, Norris.
Tell us about that.
And they took his pants off of him, his jeans, and took him up to the top of the flagpole and dropped him down the top of the flagpole and took him. And that was during school day, during the day at school.
That's funny.
Funny.
We thought it
That poor kid probably thought it was terrible too.
And we used to drag race with our cars, you know, after I had an old 31 Chevrolet that I bought my second car. My first one was a 28 Chevy, and the second one was a 31. And we lived here in the house that was previously here. I hauled different students, picked them up during the trip down there, $2 a week to haul them to school. I hauled my cousin and a good friend of hers and a couple of other girls. Well, a girl that I graduated from grade school with, she lived 1.5 miles east of here, and she walked up here to this corner or had her folks bring her, and I picked her up there and then took her to high school during her high school years. And I drove that old 31 Chevy and made $8 a week driving it. And that more than paid for my gasoline, because gasoline then was only 11 cents a gallon.
So what did you guys do for fun on the weekends?
Played just like I was talking here to my daughter-in-law just a while ago, we used to play fox and geese out here in this front yard. You know what fox and geese is? That's where you draw it in the snow. You draw 2 circles, and then the inside one and the outside one, and then you had lines to come in from each one, and then you choose up sides, like 10 people to a side, and then you'd say all geese in or all geese out, and they'd all have to get in, and the ones that didn't, well, it was like musical chairs. You was out whenever you didn't get in, you know. And we played that, and then we played football here in this yard and baseball and everything else. And of course I was on a town team over here from McNorton, Kansas, that I pitched for them when I was in high school. And that was my summer entertainment, was baseball.
What sports do they offer at all? Like, what are all the sports they offered for the guys at the high school?
Mainly just football and basketball, because there wasn't any such thing as golf or baseball teams or anything in high school then.
Absolutely no sports for girls.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Is it crazy for you? Have you been to the new high school that we're in right now? Have you seen
Yeah.
it? Is it just crazy to think how much
Oh,
everything
yeah.
has changed?
Well, the thing that amazes me is how the students act in there. I mean, they don't have any ritual in there at all, no discipline. It looks to me like it at all in the high school, because I've been in the classrooms when I'm FFA member for life, and I go to FFA meetings and stuff, you know, and you go over there when the classrooms are going, and their students are just everywhere. I mean, they just roam the halls and everything else. And we couldn't do that. When we were in school, we had to be in our classroom. And that's where you had to be. Because there was discipline then, and there isn't any discipline now, I don't think. But then there probably is. But then I know it just, and the way the classrooms are arranged today, we've had rows of seats, you know, I mean, desks and everything in there in the classrooms that I went to, and this high school don't have. I mean, you just sit at a chair somewhere or at a table or something, and it's a lot different.